In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create Huawei Cloud resources using Terraform. I'm going to be making a lot of references to this Terraform registry for Huawei Cloud. I'm also going to be showing you a demo. In the demo, we're going to be creating the Huawei Cloud VPC using Terraform. Inside this VPC, we're going to have two subnets, Subnet Terraform A and Subnet Terraform B. Inside Subnet Terraform A, we're going to provision a server, or ECS as we call it. Then we're going to attach an EIP to the server so the server can access the internet. We're also going to attach a security group to the server to control inbound and outbound traffic. I'm just going to leave subnet Terraform B blank. Having said that, let's dive into it. Before I create my Terraform scripts, I like to have an idea of what it means to create these resources on the console. So I'm just going to jump right into the console for VPC and try to create a VPC. This gives me an idea of the required parameters to pass to my Terraform scripts. As you can see here, it's asking for a region, the VPC name, the IPv4 CIDR block of the VPC, an enterprise project. In most cases, this is going to be default. Then, of course, there are advanced optional settings, description and tags. Then to create a subnet, we need the subnet name, the availability zone of the subnet, the CIDR block of the subnet, and some advanced settings like the subnet gateway, the DNS server, and some other optional stuff. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to leave everything at default. So having said this, I'm going to start creating my Terraform scripts. So I would mention that this is not a Terraform tutorial. This is just how to create a Huawei Cloud resources in Terraform. So if you need Terraform tutorial, there'll be other resources out there that would teach you that. So when creating Terraform scripts, I like to work with modules. Bring this up again. So I define each of the services, VPC, subnet, ECS, EIP, and security group. I define them in modules, and this is what my directory structure looks like. I have a modules folder where I define all my modules, and inside these modules, that's where you find the modules file. The modules file include the main.tf, provider.tf, variable.tf, and output.tf for each module. Then in the root directory, we have the actual main.tf, the provider.tf, and variable.tf. This is what controls every other thing here. So I already have everything set up here. So this is my modules folder, and inside this you would find each module, ECS, security group, subnet, VPC, and inside the modules you'll find their respective files. Then I also have my main.tf, provider.tf, and variable.tf. So we're starting with the VPC module. So I'm just going to come here and search for VPC to see what the file looks like. VPC. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to copy this guy and paste in my main.tf for VPC. So if you look at this, the main content here is just this guy. Sorry, just this guy. I don't think I need this. This is optional though if you want to create a VPC with tag. So I'm just going to delete this. Then this is just what I need. Then this variable.tf, I'm going to cut it and put in my variable.tf for VPC. So our main.tf file just looks like this. Just requires a VPC name and a VPC CIDR. Then the variable, I don't want to specify any default value here, so I'm just gonna, you could put a description though, but I'm just gonna leave this way. I don't want to put in default values here. I'm going to be defining the default values in my main.tf. Then I also need a VPC ID so my subnets and my ECS can use it. So I'm going to define an output. I'm going to call this VPC underscore ID. Then the value is going to be Huawei Cloud VPC dot VPC dot ID. So this is just going to pick, when you create the VPC, it's just going to pick out the VPC ID. Then for provider, let me see what's to use as my provider. So if you go to this documentation, you can find it here. So I'm just going to use this guy. Although there's a latest version, but I'm just going to stick to this guy. And yeah, this is greater or equal to 1.36. I'm just going to stick to this guy for now. So I have my main.tf, I have the output file, I have the provider.tf, and I have my variable.tf. So this for VPC, that's done. So we're going to do the same thing for subnets. I open up my subnets. Let's see. VPC, VPC. If you find subnets, so I just taking my time. Subnets. So I could just search for subnets here as well. Yeah, that's faster. So for my main.cf in my subnet folder, I'm going to copy this and paste. Of course, I'm not going to need all of this. The main resource we're looking at is the subnet resource. So every other thing we need to go. This is subnet with tags. I don't need this for now. This is subnet with DHCP. I don't need this. The default one will be created for me. VPC. This is creating the VPC, which we already have. So I'm going to delete this. I'm also going to delete this as well. Once again, I'll copy this. I'm just going to cut out this variable and put in variable.cf for my subnets. Yep. So we have this. We have this. Okay. We have this in our main.cf. We have output. Do we have any output for this guy? Yes, we're needing this subnet ID as well, just like we did for VPC. We need the subnet ID as well. So just use this. Then provider.tf, I'm going to use the same one we use for VPC. So provider.tf. So I'm just going to put this here. So we have our VPC and we have our subnet. So before I go on to security group and ECS, let's just try this out and see if it works. So to do that, I need to set up my main.tf. This is where the calls will be made from. So I need my provider. I need this guy. Okay, so I don't need this. The main provider. So for the region, I'm working with Johannesburg. So the region is AF South 1. Then I can also input my access key and secret key. Then everything looks pretty much the same. Variable.cf, I've not declared any variable yet, so I don't have anything yet as well. Then for my main.cf, this is where I start calling the modules. So the first module I have is the VPC module. So I'm just going to call it VPC. So when I do Terraform plan or Terraform init, so the main.cf, this is the main.cf it looks at. It looks at this main.cf, then starts calling each of the modules that are specified. So I'm going to specify the source of this module. Where is this module coming from? course, the okay, that's modules dot VPC. This is where you're coming from. Okay, why are you saying then? Okay, then we're going to press enter. Then now I'm going to pass in some of the variables we declared that we defined but we did not declare. So I'm just going to start declaring them here, like VPC name. Going to call this VPC Terraform, and VPC side. So for this, I'm going to use 192.168. That's 0/24/16 instead. Yeah. So I could actually put these guys as a variable and define them here, but let's just leave it at this for now. Like I said, there are different methods of doing this for simplicity's sake, so I'm just going to leave it this way. So I've declared or I've called my module VPC module. The next module I'm going to call is a subnets module. Um, Subnets. Okay. And I'm going to give it a source. Okay. Source is subnets. Then I kind of declared I kind of defined a lot of variables in my subnets module. So I just have to start initializing them yet. So for the VPC, can I put this in two screens? Okay. Just going to open my subnets module. Okay. So this is what we have in our subnets module. So the first thing, it's asking for a name. It's asking for a name. So I'm just going to give it a name. Say subnets Terraform A. I'm also going to give it a side block, CIDR. So let's say 192.168. That's 1.0/24. This should work. Then it's also asking for a VPC ID. So for the VPC ID, I'm just going to say, let me see, did we declare this? Let me see, what did we use in ours? Okay, so for VPC ID, I'm just going to do this, call this var dot VPC underscore ID. So if I'm modifying this, I should also modify the variable.tf variable VPC underscore ID. Or what did I use? VPC ID. Yeah. So why do we have this? Okay. Yeah. So we're good. So VPC ID now. How do I get my VPC ID? So I'm going to call the VPC module.vpc dot VPC underscore ID. Yep. So what I'm doing here is calling the output. I'm calling the output of the VPC module. So if I go to the VPC, there should be an output here, VPC ID. So I'm calling this guy from there. So back to this. I still need to define one more thing, gateway IP, gateway underscore IP. Um, this is equal to, um, for the gateway IP, I'm just going to use, sorry, 192.168. That's 0.0. No, that's one, sorry. So I'm just going to use that. Um, Yep. Sorry, this should be that's one, that's one. And I think I'm seeing a comma here instead of. Then what else have I not defined? For I've defined VPC ID, I've defined gateway IP, CIDR block, the name, then the availability zone. So to declare the availability zone, I'm going to be using data instead because we can create an availability zone. So I'm going to be calling the availability zone from Huawei Cloud. Where in the region currently in the Johannesburg region, there are three availability zones. So the first one being indexed 0, second one indexed 1. So I'm just going to be calling the first availability zone. So this subnet name. Okay, so I see. So the variable is actually subnet name, subnet CIDR, subnet CIDR block, subnet gateway IP. So let's get your IP. So we're good. Yeah, we're good. Um, so yeah. So I'm just gonna put in my access key and secret key quickly, and we try Terraform init to see what happens. Okay, just give me a minute. So I just added my secret and access key, so we can go ahead and run Terraform init. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So because I specified greater or equal to, it's picking the latest, which is 1.72. So init was successful. Then I'm going to the Terraform plan. Let's see. Okay. Um, so I think this is because in the variable.tf for subnets, availability zones, I'm just going to come here to define this guy. Yeah, sorry. This is happening because I'm trying to call a data without actually defining it. So yeah, this should work. So we need this data. So I'm going to do plan again, and we should be good to go. It's module. Alternatively, I could go back to my subnet main.tf and declare the availability zone there instead of using it as a variable. So I think this should work for us. There's a problem with our main.tf. Required attributes availabilities are not specified. So I'm just going to go to variable.cf and remove the availabilities on there, so this should be good. So I'm going to run Terraform plan again. Give it some time. So we're good. I don't know why this error is coming up, but Uh, we are good. Set for friends the availability, so it's fine. So yeah, we see that the Terraform plan works. So, well, this is not a guarantee that the Terraform apply is going to work, but at least we have that running. So next, we're going to um, move on to security group. So I'm just going to put this guy up again. Not need you anymore. Some with VPC now. Subnet security group. Security. That's 6 match. We should be looking at it under VPC. The data source. This. Let me confirm VPC. Under VPC, network security group. Network and security group. Are there any other stuff? Let's see this guy. Okay, security group. Okay, I think this is what we are looking for. So I'm going to copy this guy and put here. So this takes in the name of the security group, but I want this to be a variable actually. So I'm going to say var dot security group set group underscore name. We have to define this here as well. Variable sec group underscore name. Then we're good. All right, then description is unnecessary. Well, it is, but I'll keep this simple. So we have the security group. It's pretty much easy. Then we have um, we're going to create the security group rule. So what rule do we have in our security group? So this one says create an ingress rule that opens TCP port 80 with port whatever. So this is like an inbound rule. So I'm going to put this, create it here. So this rule opens up the port 80 to or, which is pretty much normal. Then I'm also going to create an outbound rule as well. Okay. So let's create an outbound rule to, you know, for 8080 as well. So I'm just going to leave this. So this is like user, this is user specific. So depending on your business requirements, you could define your rules however you want it. So variable security group ID, I'm just going to cut this here and put it in my variable.tf. Good. All right, so we are good to go for this as well. So I'm going to go to my main.tf to declare the module as well. Module sec group. The name of my module is security group. Security group. And the source. The source is this guy. Then the variables it requires security group ID, and that's okay. Just gonna expand this guy again. Then go to my main.cf for this guy, security group name. So I'm just going to call this sec group Terraform. Then what else was declared? Valid security group ID, valid security group ID. So it meets this guy is referencing the security group ID of this. There are different ways to do this, but I think the perfect way to do it would be to call to create an output file first. I'm going to call this security group ID. Then I'm going to call the value. Value. Let's see. Just a minute. I'm just going to call this guy Huawei. Sorry, I shouldn't put this in quotes. Huawei Cloud Security Group, Sec Group, that's ID. Yep. I'm gonna output this guy, then back to the main.cf, not this. Since they're on the same, since they're in the same module, I could just call it as Huawei. Sorry. And then the variable for this Huawei Cloud Network Security Group, the security group, that's ID. Just call it directly from here. I'll do the same thing for this guy. So I don't need a variable for this. I think we're good. Did I? Don't need this as well. Say my main.cf. This should be fine. So I'm just going to Terraform plan again. This mod is not yet installed. Terraform init. Okay, just gonna see. Oh, this. I'm just gonna call this inbound and outbound. Then should good to go. Could not retrieve the release of. Okay, that's because I've now added provider.cf. I'm just going to copy from this guy. Okay, copy from this guy and sorry, put here. Good. So run this guy again. All right, so let me tidy up a bit. What have we done so far? Before that, I'm going to run Terraform plan. So what have we done so far? We've created the VPC module that works fine for us. We've also created the subnet module that also works fine for us. So what we just created now is a security group module. And for every module we've created, we have the main.cf, output.cf, provider.cf, and variable.cf. Then in the main.cf, the actual main.cf, we just call each of those modules. So all this has been done and the plan is working fine. So finally, we're going to create the ECS resources. So I'm just going to find here, but before this, let me fill in the provider.cf so we don't forget. Then, yeah, main.cf. ECS. Okay, Huawei Cloud Compute EIP Associates, Huawei Cloud Compute Instance. So, according to my diagram, would be we should be going with this Huawei Cloud Compute EIP Associates, but let's start with the instance first. How to create the instance itself. So I'm going to copy this and paste here. Uh, so let me see. They have multiple options, but let's stick to the basics for now. So what do we have here? We have security group ID. I'm going to copy this cut rather and put in the variable.cf. I need two files, variable.cf and main.cf. So of course we need the availability zone of the ECS. I'm calling data. We also need the flavors. So you could either call the available flavor from the Huawei Cloud, or you could, if you know, I'm going to drop a link where you can get the flavor ID and all. So I don't want to go with this guy. Um, I'm just going to delete this as well. VPC, no, we have our own VPC. We're not calling any data from already created data. So I don't need this guy as well. So this is all I need for now. So I'll give this guy a name um, as variable var dot ECS underscore name. Should declare this here as well. Variable ECS underscore name. Okay. Then image ID. I don't want this instead, so let's do this. Let's look at the arguments reference. Let's look at the arguments reference. So there's a region, there's a name, there's a flavor ID, there's image ID. So for this, like I said, I'll be using var that's flavor underscore. I'll just call it flavor instead for now. Uh, then for okay, this we have the name, we have the image ID. But instead of image ID, let's do image name. I'm going to do image name instead because we're not sure to know the ID of the already existing image. So there's a document that shows the list of image name, flavor ID, and the likes. So I'm going to say that's OS. Yeah, the image name is basically the operating system. Just going to call this var.os. Okay. Then flavor ID. I thought I put flavor ID here before. Flavor flavor ID. Even though it was a flavor. Okay, format this. Different formats. Sorry, I need to format this. Oh, it's formats. FMT. That's put us in place. Just gonna call this Okay, we have a flavor ID. I'm also going to be picking, um, what do we need? This is quite a lot. So I think we should go to the console, like I mentioned earlier. Let's go to the console and see the things we'd be needing to create an ECS. So if I go to buy ECS, so I first see a billing mode. So let's check if we can find a billing mode here as well. This is quite a lot. Just gonna search for Control F, bill. Oh, they call it charge mode. So I'm going to include a charge mode here. Charge mode, and the value of our charge mode. I think I want to make everything variable. Right, that's billing, billing underscore mode. So go back to the console. It's asking for a region. By default, it's going to pick the region we defined in our main.tf and the availability zone as well. So I'm specifying the availability zone should be AZ1. AZ2 will be index 1, AZ3 will be index 2. Then down to this guy, this is where it's asking for a flavor ID, flavor ID. So, but we have flavor name here. Do we have flavor name? Flavor. Okay. The flavor name of the instance. Complete flavor. Flavor ID. Flavor ID. So I think we're going with flavor ID here as well. So it's also asking for image name. I think we figured that out already. Then it's also asking for system disk. So for this, I'm just gonna come search for disk here. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, system disk type. Okay, just gonna put this here. System disk type. Okay. Dot disk type. Mhm. So these are the available options. There's SAS, there's SSD, general purpose SSD, extreme SSD, and the likes. So you could select from these guys. I think this is also evident on the console. IIO, SAS, general purpose SSD, extreme SSD, common IO, and the likes. So there's also the system disk size. So we also call this product disk size. And so what's next? So it's also asking for a VPC network and subnets and security group. So this for security group IDs, I'm picking this guy. Okay, this is done already. Availability zone done already. The network. So it's going to be taking. I don't want it to take data. So I'm just going to call this var.cuid. That's UUID. So this is pretty much all for now, but it can be. So there's internet access EIP. I'm going to leave that for now. Then the instance name, which I already have. Then login mode. Uh, so I think let's search for login mode. Hmm? Password. Okay. So I'm going to specify admin pass. This would be our password. But if you need to use a key pair, you can go with this guy. So we specify this, specify every other thing. Then yeah, so I'm just going to copy all of this. Let's place it back. Variable.cf because I should format it. Start calling my variables admin pass. This is not necessary. Variable um, billing mode. Variable ECS name. I have it. Dix type. Variable Dix size. Variable password. Oh, this should be password. Password. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's missing? My OS. Variable OS. This says something is missing. Flavor. Oh, this one. Variable flavor. Not var check. Variable. Variable. And finally, UUID. And we're good to go on this front. So let's go do some initialization on our main.cf. This guy. So I'm just going to call the module. The name of the module is ECS. Let's specify the source. Our source being this guy. Then we start to declare all these variables. Okay. Let's start with ECS name. I'll call this ECS Terraform. Then the OS. Now let's see what are the available options for OS. Okay. From this guy, operating system. Ouch. OS. Huh? Okay. Okay. Let's see. So for OS, let's see flavor instead of OS. Flavor, the flavor name of the instance. Okay. In our case, we're using flavor ID. Flavor underscore ID. I'm trying to get it right. Yeah. So flavor underscore ID. So we're using this guy. I can get it from the the ECS console actually. So if I want general computer basic, C6 small one. I can just get this. I'll drop a documentation where you can get all the flavor IDs as well. Yeah. So that being said, I'm just going to replace this with you. So we're using this guy. That's OS. No, sorry, that's flavor rather. Flavor. That's flavor. And for OS, we'll be using um, what are the options for OS? It's Ubuntu. So I'm going to be using this guy as well for OS. I'll also drop a document so you can find the complete list of OS. So there's 22.4. So I'm just going to do this instead. 22.04. So far we've done this. Let's go for disk size or disk type. I'm going to go for SAS. The options are there. Then disk size, I'm going to go for 40. 40. Then for password, I'm going to go for something basic. 40. 123. Of course, if you're doing this in production, you'd want to encode or store this in an env file. So what else are we missing? Then security group ID. So to get our security group ID, we'll be calling the security group ID from our security group module. So let's say module dot security group. Um, module dot security group. What do I need from here? Dot security group ID. Yeah. This is because I defined an output for my security group called security group ID. So I could use it here. What else am I missing? The network UUID rather. For this guy as well, I'll be needing to put this guy in my module, the subnet ID. Yeah, this should be fine. So for this guy, I'm calling the output of my security group, the ID of my security group. I'm also calling the output of my security group of my subnet, yeah, which is a subnet ID, which I have defined. So with this, I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, or billing mode. Uh, what are the options for billing? Uh, billing charge mode, as they call it. Prepaid, postpaid, and spot. Prepaid will be monthly, yearly. Postpaid will be pay per use. So by default, it's postpaid. Should I just call this postpaid? Postpaid, yeah. All right, we're good. So I'm going to do Terraform init again, then Terraform plan. I hope this comes out good. Wow, that came out good. And with all this in place, so far, what we've done is we've set up the VPC, we've set up the subnets, We've set up the ECS, we've set up security group. The only thing we didn't set up here is the EIP. That's actually optional. But of course, as you can see, there's a documentation for doing that as well. If you check this, you should find instance with associated EIP if you need to associate an EIP with it. So you could add this to it. Yeah, it's pretty much straightforward, but I'm not going to be doing this in the demo anyway. So then we can go ahead and do a Terraform apply and see what happens. So Terraform plan doesn't necessarily mean your Terraform script is going to work. So let's see Terraform apply. Yes, I want to. Okay, it's creating our security group. It's creating our inbound and outbound rule. It's creating our subnets. It's done with the VPC. It's creating the subnets. Uh, and yes, we have an error when creating the compute instance. Okay, so it's just something that has to do with the flavor we specified. So I'm just going to pick a different flavor. Instead, let's say, uh, let me see, what flavor can I pick? Okay, so general computing S6 X/2 vCPU 4 gig S6/2. I'm just gonna pick this guy. Yeah. Okay. What again? So that brings us to Terraform plan again. So also when you have errors, you can always go to the documentation to find what the error is if it's not dated from here. So I'll do my Terraform apply again. Yes, please. Flavor S6, large one is abandoned. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure why it's abandoned. So I think I'll post this to figure that out why. All right. So the issue was the region, the availability zone we are selecting. So apparently zero, um, the value zero is for this guy, zone. Yeah. And these flavors are currently not available there. So I just changed the availability zone to one, which is this general availability zone AZ1. So I'm going to do Terraform plan, and I can see that yes, it's reflecting here as AF-SAT1A, but initially it was showing as, if you give me a minute, AF-SAT1 LOS1A. So the flavor we're selecting was not available in this region. So I've changed the region and this should be fine now. So I'm going to do Terraform apply again and we should be good to go. Yes, please. Okay, so root volume size is 40, most, okay. So it's asking us to change the root volume size to at least 50. So which I'm going to do, then plan again. If you give me a minute. Okay. Huh? So I'm just gonna reopen this guy. Close. Um, so I'm just going to reopen this guy. Okay, then do the plan again. That was my system acting up. Then apply. Yes. Oh, the availability zone of server and subnet is not much, which is normal because um, the availability is always specified here is one, and on our subnets it's a different value. So I'm just going to check what we have in our subnets. Um, I'm going to change this to one as well. Yep. So plan, then apply. Yes, please. So it's recreating the subnet because we changed the availability zone. Okay. So it's destroyed the existing subnets and it's creating a new subnet. And it's done. It's starting to create a compute instance. Hopefully we don't have any error anymore. Yeah. So it's still creating. This might take some time. So while this is done, we can go ahead and see some of the things it has created on the console. Um, so if I go back to VPC, we see it has created a VPC with one subnet, VPC Terraform with one subnet. This is the CIDR block we specified, and subnet Terraform A as we specified. Then we can also see that there's one, it has a route table, a default route table, and there's one server associated with it. So this guy is done creating. So I'm going to come here to see if we can find our server. And yes, we have this guy up and running. So that's pretty much easy. So the key takeaway here is when creating not just for Huawei Cloud, but generally when creating Terraform, when creating resource with Terraform, you should be familiar with how to create this resource on the console first. They give you an idea, or they give you insights to what you should be expecting. So as you saw in this demo, we had to make a lot of reference to the console to see what does the console require, and we just had to input them here as well. So that being said, I'm just going to destroy everything I've created. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this video.